Travel, starring Cleavon Little.
How did you get up here?
In the amazing Isuzu Trooper 2. Of course, near the top, I did have to shift into four-wheel drive. Want to buy it?
No, you're supposed to walk. Can't take all of it.
No sweat.
Are you sure about this?
You have my word on it.
Test drive the rugged Isuzu Trooper 2 at these Isuzu dealers now.
It seemed like I was born with a cold. Always sneezing. Always sniffling. Even congested. Dude, but those weren't just colds. They were allergy attacks. So I got Cortrimeton. Cortrimeton's made just for allergies. So don't treat your allergy like it's just a common cold. Take Cortrimeton.
Join Presidents now for only $13 a month.
Isn't it time? Have you got your act together?
Enjoy Houston's Museum of Fine Arts. The following is a rebroadcast of tonight's 10 p.m. Eyewitness News.
You're watching Channel 13, KTRK-TV Houston, #1 in Texas. Eyewitness News with Jim Rosenfield and Debbie Johnson. Tim Nelson has sports and Ed Brandon's 7-day forecast. Now, Channel 13, Eyewitness News, tonight.
Mother Nature unleashed her fury in a 200-mile-long path of damage and destruction as a series of tornadoes ripped through central Texas this afternoon from near Austin all the way to Tyler. Two of the hardest-hit towns were Caldwell and Giddings.
A total of 7 people have died, 15 others injured, and countless people are homeless tonight. We'll have a live report on the storm's aftermath in just a few minutes. But first, a report on a tragedy in Denver that may be weather-related as well.
A Continental Airlines DC-9 jet skidded off a runway in Denver tonight and broke apart, killing more than 20 people.
Others were trapped upside down in the wreckage. Flight 1713 had already stopped in Oklahoma City and Kansas City and was bound from Denver to Boise, Idaho. Greg Dobbs has the latest.
According to an eyewitness on another plane nearby, the DC-9 tilted to the side moments after takeoff, the wingtip catching the runway, the whole plane flipping over and crashing on its top side and breaking into 3 parts, the tail section stopping more than 100 yards from the wreck. Because of all that, some survivors and some corpses still were trapped inside hours after the crash. Paramedics blew hot air and ran intravenous tubes through small holes in the broken fuselage to keep survivors warm and to stabilize their conditions in this sub-freezing weather. But actually getting the last ones out was slow and delicate.
Frustrating. We have, right now, we have to lift up portions of the aircraft using those airbags to prop up the aircraft, and it's taking a long time to get those in and get those up. And then we need to get those 2 individuals out, and then we'll drain the fuel from the aircraft.
One of the last 2 known survivors inside was screaming as firefighters tried to get her out.
It's a miracle, in a layman's point of view, that anybody walked away from that anybody survived it. And thank God there wasn't a fire on board.
But at least 21 passengers did walk away from the crash, most with minor injuries and obviously with shock, but evidently thrown free when the aircraft broke apart. When it took off, the weather at Stapleton Airport was down to minimum, an 1/8 of a mile visibility, crosswinds on the runway. For safety's sake, Stapleton cut back from 4 active runways to just 1. The Boise-bound flight was lifting off from that one runway when it flipped over. The weather is suspected as the cause, but there's no official conclusion as of now. Greg Dobbs, ABC News, Denver.
Back here in Texas, the death toll continues to rise in the wake of a group of deadly tornadoes that swept through the central portion of the state earlier today.
At least 7 lives are now reported lost and several others injured after tornadoes swept through Lee and Burleson counties, leaving a 200-mile-long stretch of damage and destruction behind. Our Carlos Aguilar is in the Caldwell area tonight with the latest information. Carlos?
Debbie, Jim, I'm standing in front of what is evident of what a storm can do, a tornado. This house was destroyed. Only the walls are standing, and on top of the house is a huge tree. Folks here didn't know what had hit them. Earlier today, they just were wandering around their what remained and picking up after themselves. Let me show you what's been going on here tonight. The Killebrew family of Burleson County outside Caldwell is now without house and home. The tornado took everything. A campfire would do for the night.
What I'm going to do tonight out here is just to stay here, and in the morning there's going to be help out, and we're going to try to scavenge the place and salvage what we can.
God, today, for these families, we claim your refuge.
In town, the First Baptist Church was only half full for its Sunday evening service. Everyone else was either a victim of the tornado or was out helping the less fortunate. A shelter was set up, but most hit by the twister had been taken in by family or friends. At the hospital, 3 were admitted for observation. In all, about a dozen were treated and released.
The injuries that we saw were certainly scary for the people involved, and the majority of them were severe cuts, bruises.
The violent storm destroyed several houses and mobile homes. A mother and daughter were killed in the storm. The mother was from Sugar Land. The survivors had stories to tell about what happened to them.
Well, I heard a big roar and my ears started stopping up. I looked out the window in the kitchen. I seen a big dust cloud coming. And so I grabbed the baby and I took her in the middle of the house and laid down in the hall with her. And, well, the house was shaking. When it stopped, I looked out and saw the destruction of the house. Pillars was down. And
it's not certain where the people are that occupied this house, if at all. A lot of the structures that were hit by the tornado were weekend homes. They were destroyed, and gratefully or just luckily, people weren't in them. But as you saw, some mobile homes and other homes that were occupied were hit by the severe weather. And tonight, most everyone has been taken in by family or friends. The shelter, as you saw, was empty. They had no takers, but they're ready just in case anybody wants to go there and snuggle up into a warm cot with some blankets and some warm coffee. The Red Cross is here, ready to help them, and some more Red Cross personnel from Houston will be coming in tomorrow. Debbie, Jim?
Any signs of more bad weather out there as you're standing there, Carlos?
Yes, as we were setting up for this live shot, we had rain and some wind. This evening, there was a severe weather alert for the area again, and people were at the church praying that another storm wouldn't hit them.
Okay, Carlos, thank you very much for that report. Be careful trying to get back home. Twisters and violent weather have wreaked havoc in other parts of our state as well tonight.
So let's go to Ed Brandon in our weather center to find out what's going on for the rest of the night.
Okay, Jim, one of the tornadoes that ripped through central Texas did extensive damage to the Palestine area today. The tornado leveled 2 churches, a middle school, and damaged scores of buildings. Authorities are saying at least 1 person died, at least 3 others were, 3 dozen others were injured in that storm, that in the area around Palestine. Here in the Houston area, we've had no tornadoes, but we are under a tornado watch. Let's look at Galveston radar. Standing on the close range, most of the rainfall that was earlier in the day moving from west to east is now moving from south to north. So we're keeping our eye on the activity around Matagorda Bay out there to the south of Palacios. That rainfall moving in a northerly direction. Due to the possibility of severe weather, a tornado watch is in effect for the area flashing on the map you'll see right here. That includes Houston and Galveston and much of the Channel 13 viewing area. That tornado watch in effect until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. And due to the possibility of heavy rain in our area, more heavy rain rather, a flash flood watch is in effect. We'll talk a lot more about the weather as it relates to the Houston area during the 7-day forecast later in this Tuesday. Jim and Debbie.
Okay, Ed, thanks very much. In other news, investigators in Tampa, Texas tonight are searching for the cause of 2 explosions that rocked a chemical plant in that panhandle town. Saturday's blast and huge fire at the Hearst Celanese chemical plant killed 3 workers and injured 40 others. Plant managers say damage assessment teams today began venturing into the smoking grounds of the 775-acre facility. The exact cause of the accident, however, remains unknown. Celanese officials at this point are also refusing to commit themselves to reopening the plant, which is Tampa's largest employer.
The father of 20-year-old Sheila Beam of Houston says he'll fly to Mexico tomorrow to try and free his daughter from the Mexican prison where she is incarcerated. Sheila Beam was arrested last week by Mexican authorities after shooting a Mexican officer during the arrest of her husband, Louis Beam, a former leader of the Ku Klux Klan. Stan Tui of Santa Fe, New Mexico, says he doesn't speak Spanish or have a lawyer, so he anticipates problems in trying to get his daughter out of jail.
We try to call there and try to get on the phone, and nobody speaks English. And you're on the phone for 20 minutes, and then it hangs up, and you just can't get through.
Tui says his son-in-law was extradited to the United States, and he can't understand why his daughter was left behind in a Mexican prison. Eyewitness News is sending a crew to Guadalajara to cover the attempted release.
Houston police tonight are searching for a mother and her 18-month-old daughter after the two disappeared during a court-ordered visit at Harris County Children's Protective Services. According to CPS officials and police, the state was given temporary custody of little Ashley Ortega back in December of last year for reasons of neglect. Houston police say juvenile officers say the girl disappeared with her mother, 21-year-old Estelle Flores, during a court-ordered visit Monday at CPS offices on Travis.
Worker had been with them while the visitation was being done, but had left them briefly to go make some notations and some records. When a short time after that, she noticed that the child and the mother had left the office area.
Police have filed misdemeanor charges against Flores of enticing a child. CPS officials tonight say they have been questioning relatives of the mother and are doing everything they can to assist police in locating the pair. Anyone with information can call the HPD Juvenile Division at 247-4000.
There is a benefit being held tonight to raise money for children who need it the most. This year, more than 60,000 children in Texas have suffered severe abuse and neglect. Tonight's 50s dance benefit at the Transco Tower was held to create awareness of child abuse and to raise money for Child Advocates, a non-profit organization which helps abused children.
Child Advocates, which is a volunteer organization that provides advocates for children who have been severely abused, and our volunteers work with the children through the juvenile court judges.
Former Governor Mark White and his wife were on hand to lend their support to the benefit. In fact, White took the stage to entertain the guests who were dressed for the occasion.
Didn't know he could play the guitar there.
Neither did I.
Coming up next on Eyewitness News tonight, it may come as a surprise, but Action 13's Marvin Zindler begins a tour of some clean eateries.
Stay with us.
We made it! Our first real deal! Now if we can just make our flight.
We got red hot cars, we got a red hot crew, and now we've got roving rapid return. Here's your receipt.
Wow, that's rapid. Made it thanks to roving rapid return and a Cadillac for just $45 today.
Here's your cold front heading to work.
Better turn on the heat engine. It's nice and warm now.
Thank goodness you switched to natural gas heat. My circuits were freezing with that old electric thing, and I shuddered to think of the bill. But with an efficient natural gas furnace, we can now heat 2 1/2 times more space for the same primary energy as electric heating.
Natural gas from Impex. Energy for a new age.
Impex is so exciting.
Keep up the good work. Oh, I love this.
Mr. and Mrs. Yuppie, you looked high, you looked low, you looked in all different department stores, lots of furniture stores for beautiful dining room furniture and also dinette. Then you finally decided to, let's try gallery furniture. Look what you found, a huge selection of dining room and dinette furniture. You found solid oak, you found beautiful cherry, you found all different types of beautiful dining room furniture. You asked us to deliver it to Yuppie Bill in an unmarked truck. We did, and most importantly, gallery furniture saves you money.
Gallery furniture. Call today. Meineke, just how you feel. You want a quality muffler that doesn't cost a lot.
Hey, Big Abe, I'm not going to pay a lot for this muffler.
I'm not going to pay a lot for the muffler, and it better be quality.
We're not going to pay a lot for this muffler, and we want quality.
No no problem. Meineken's quality Everlast mufflers are priced from just $18.93 installed.
Oh, I'm not going to pay a lot. It's still good quality.
In Washington tonight, budget negotiators say they can agree on how to cut the budget deficit, but caution Congress may oppose the cuts in light of the election year.
Negotiators from the House, Senate, and the White House have been meeting for 3 weeks, trying to beat a Friday deadline to cut the deficit. Negotiators say an agreement will be reached in time to avoid $23 billion in automatic cuts imposed by the Graham-Rudman bill. But lawmakers caution the politically sensitive measures could be killed on the House floor. Meanwhile, the investigating congressional committee's report on the Iran-Contra scandal will be released Tuesday, and it's expected to be tough on the president. The majority report concludes that the president is ultimately responsible for the Iran-Contra affair and that he fostered an attitude of virtual disregard toward law and traditional government procedures. Besides the president, the report will also criticize Attorney General Edwin Meese and former National Security Council staff members John Poindexter and Colonel Oliver North.
Changing gears here, Action 13's Marvin Zindler tonight gives us a sneak preview, or in this case an appetizer, of his series on restaurants. That series runs all this week on Eyewitness News at 6 and 10.
No, it is not on dirty restaurants, but this time it's on restaurants where Marvin himself likes to eat. Here's a sampling.
And here's a preview of one of those places I like to eat, the Sunset Tea Room. Now, you might think that all they serve here is tea. But, my friends, they serve really, really good food. Homemade food made from homemade recipes in this homey spot in West University. For years, owners Glenda Foreman and Georgia Shaver brought their cakes and pies to work at the attendance office at my alma mater, Lamar High School. Everybody always told them how good their goodies were. And so 5 years ago, these backyard neighbors opened up their own restaurant. And now they're attending to kitchen duties in their Blue Ribbon Kitchen eating establishment. I'll be taking you to other restaurants where I like to eat. All this week, they range from down-home places serving down-home country cooking to fancy-dancy dining-out spots. That's Monday through Friday, 6 and 10, places where I like to eat. Marvin Zindler, Eyewitness News.
Enough to whet your appetite.
For once, restaurants will want to be on that list. Coming up next, though, the Oilers beat Pittsburgh today to set up a showdown with Cleveland next Sunday, and the Rockets are playing Seattle in the Summit.
Tim Melton has a look at today's sports when we come back.
How bad it feels. I feel like it's this big, like a big tomato. I've got a sore nose. It's just the rubbing and the dripping and the sneezing and the wiping and the rubbing and the dripping and the sneezing and the wiping.
Introducing first aid for your nose when it's sore from too much blowing. New Puff Plus.
Feels like there may be something in there.
There's lotion. I feel it on my fingers. No. A lotion. Oh, yeah, I could hold this right here all day. I want to know how they got it on here.
It's the first tissue with moisturizing lotion. New Puff Plus.
Well, it saved my nose. Puff Plus is much less irritating than my tissue. I've never had an experience where you blow your nose and it feels so good.
New Puff Plus. First aid for your sore nose.
I got my own nose back. I'm happy.
That's fully clean. Don't leave a sticky film on you that won't rinse away, but that rinses you fully clean. That's fully clean. You're not fully clean unless you're that's fully clean.
Each year, more than 1 million tons of plastic are used in the manufacture of automobiles, including those we give our children for Christmas. But shouldn't we be allowed to expect something a little better now that we've grown up? Before you buy another car, be sure you see the Sterling.
What does 50% off really mean? 50% off of what price? If a diamond costs $100 and is marked $400 and then offered a 50% off, that's no big deal, is it? At Michael Klein's Fine Jewelry, we sell loose diamonds at 10 to 30% above our cost the year round. So you don't need a sale to get a fine diamond at the right price at Michael Klein's Fine Jewelry. If you shop and compare price and quality, your next diamond will come from Michael Klein's Fine Jewelry, where we don't have sales, just the best price the year round.
slowly but surely, the Oilers are becoming a fine football team. Head coach Jerry Glanville was a defensive coach before he took over the operation, and it's still the Oiler defense that makes the ball club tick. But Glanville has now opened up the offense. He has gotten his faith in Warren Moon at quarterback, and it's paying dividends. Today, the good guys went into Pittsburgh and won there for the first time since 1978. Now, to continue winning, the Oilers have to get offense started a little bit earlier. They have to get it going in the first half. They didn't today. Warren Moon with a fumble in the first quarter led to the field goal that was the only points of the day for the Steelers, but the defense kept them in the ball game. Malone was just 7 of 22, sacked by Childress there. Zendejas with a field goal just before the half ended. It was tied at 3. Third quarter, big play. Warren Moon goes up top. He finds Drew Hill, 46 yards from Pittsburgh, too. After a couple of penalties pushed him back, Moon to Curtis Duncan. The kid out of Northwestern is paying big dividends. He scores here to make it 10-3 Oilers. Now, Mike Rozier was back in the lineup today, and that meant an awful lot. He goes 99 yards on the afternoon. It opened up the passing game. Moon up top, Drew Hill, touchdown, 18 of 24, 252 yards for Warren. The defense dominated the afternoon, especially in the second half. Fuller with a tip. Lyles with the interception, set up a field goal, and Keith Bostic had an interception. Watch him nail Bubby Brister. Put him on his back. Final Oilers win it 23-3.
No, we really didn't change anything other than, really didn't change anything. We just kept on playing. We knew what our game plan was. We never came off our game plan for one snap. So we just knew we'd get on track, that we were out of sync.
Yeah, that was a play that we had where, there's no guy in the middle, and I'm just going to run a post. The play was designed to go to Ernest, but Travis kind of dictated that I was able to go in and go to the post, and Warren hit me on a great play, and I was able to make the touchdown.
Yeah, it was just one of those things that everybody clicked at one time, and it's just one of those wonderful feelings that everybody played well,
and that sets up a huge football game in the Dome next Sunday. Now, the Oilers come home tied for first place with Cleveland in AFC Central, and it's the Browns that are coming to the Dome next Sunday. Oilers secondary will get a real test. Bernie Kosar was 14 of 24 for 34 for 346 yards today, and 2 touchdowns in today's 27-21 win over Buffalo. He hit Reggie Langhorne and Webster Slaughter for touchdowns. Browns defense returned a fumble for a touch. So the Browns and the Oilers are both 6-3. Now, the folks in Dallas are probably getting excited about football again because Tom Landry has finally wised up and decided to give the football to Herschel Walker and give it to him a lot. Today they were playing in New England. They trailed 17-14, a minute 9 to go, 4th and 13 from their own 30. But White to Renfro took it to the 27, and Ruzick with a 21-yard field goal tied it at 17, sent it to overtime. A minute 50 into overtime, Herschel got the ball for the 28th time, and he went 60 yards for the winning touchdown. He gained 173 yards on the day, 23-17 Dallas to win it. So the Oilers fans are happy, the Cowboy fans are happy, and lo and behold, they ain't calling the Saints the Aints anymore down in New Orleans. So with 2:54 to play today in San Francisco, Joe Montana drove the Niners to a go-ahead touchdown, 29 yards to Ron Heller. Niners led 26-24. But Bobby Hebert drove the Saints to the Niner 24, 2 passes, and in the minute 6 left, Morton Anderson hit a 40-yarder, and the Saints moved within a game of the Niners in NFC West with a 27-26 victory. On the scoreboard, the Jets get 184 yards rushing out of Freeman McNeil and knocked off Kansas City. Washington behind Doug Williams defeated Detroit 20-13. Indianapolis 134 yards from Eric, 40-21 over Miami. The Rams got 213 yards rushing from Charles White and knocked off St. Louis. Minnesota over Tampa Bay. Giants defeated Philadelphia. Cincinnati 16-10 over Atlanta. Seattle knocked off Green Bay. And tonight, in the fourth quarter, San Diego is leading the Raiders. Rockets and Sonics in the Summit tonight. Rockets going in 4-1 and remembering it was Seattle that knocked them out of the playoffs last year. One of the big reasons was Dale Ellis. He had an awful big night, 31 points. He hit the jumper from everywhere. Hakeem had a good night. Watch him on the alley-oop. He gets the feed from Rodney. It was 84-80 Rockets at that point. Hakeem is going to rip down the rebound here. They'll get the fast break started. He comes out of the pack, flips it out to Rodney. Rodney gets it over to Maxwell, puts it in. It was 88-85. Lloyd B. Free, or World B. Free, excuse me, World. He hit 2 3-pointers in a row. They led it 96-93. Hakeem is going to hit the jumper as the shot clock is running out to tie it at 106. But he missed a couple of free throws that could have iced the game. Then he blocked a shot by Ellis. And then at the buzzer, it was Rodney McRae hitting the jumper. They win it 108-106.
I just went up with my eyes straight on the rim, and if he blocked it or blocked my vision, I just concentrated more so than I've ever done.
I had a hold of that curly-headed guy named Free and said, if Rodney will move, he's got it. And he not only moved and got it, but he come home with a big bucket. And it was just a happy ending all the way around.
all the way around just to beat Seattle. It's a happy ending. They go back on the road, however, and again, it was the Oilers winning tonight this afternoon in Pittsburgh, and the Rockets winning tonight, and Ed's going to give a winning forecast, aren't you, right after this?
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
For 5 days only at the Houston Super 6 Toyota dealers, the spotlight's on super savings. 1,500 Toyota cars, trucks, and vans must be sold, and we're making super deals. Make a super deal on Corolla FX and save up to $694 in options. Save up to $555 on top of Camry deals like you've never seen before. Hundreds of new Toyota cars and trucks, hundreds in savings, but not much time to cash in. Spotlight on savings ends Monday. See your Houston Super 6 Toyota dealer now.
A new superpower in gasoline is here. New 93 octane Exxon Supreme. Exxon Supreme. Now with the increased power of 93 octane. For smoother performance and more power to fight knots and hesitation. Run with the superpower of new 93 octane Exxon Supreme.
Lots of severe weather for Ed to talk about tonight, so we'll give you all the time you need.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'll take it. It is time for the 7-day forecast presented by Texas Commerce Bank. Over 100 years of strength, stability, and service. We'll talk about the next 7 days, but first, let's look at tonight. Shower activity that we're most concerned about is this to the south of us around Palacios and Matagorda Bay, extending out into the Gulf of Mexico. The rain is moving in a northerly direction. It had been earlier in the day moving in an easterly direction. Here's a satellite photograph taken at 9:30 tonight. The heaviest activity is to the northwest of Houston, moving away from us. That's the stuff we're watching right now. Here's the way clouds moved across Texas from 5 o'clock this morning until 9 o'clock tonight. You can tell that early in the period, the shower activity, as we said, moving to the east. Now it is moving to the north. The heaviest stuff is to the east of us and to the north of us, so it's no concern to us. We are, however, under a tornado watch until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. That includes all of this area, including Houston, Galveston, and many of the counties in the Channel 13 viewing area. Due to the possibility that we could get heavy rain, we're also under a flash flood watch. That flash flood watch basically east of the line from Palacios to just northwest of College Station, and then east over to the Sabine. That, of course, includes the Houston-Galveston area, Columbus, and College Station, and all of that area. So, flash flood watch for the rest of tonight, tornado watch until 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. Right now, no severe weather threatens the Houston area. We'll be here during the night to let you know if anything happens. Low temperature in Houston this morning was 69 degrees. High this afternoon, 77. We've had about a third of an inch of rain here at Channel 13. Most of it has fallen within the past hour and a half. At 10 o'clock, it's 74 at Intercontinental Airport, 73 here at KTRK, 75 at Hobby. Our barometer steady, wind southerly at 17, gusting to 23 miles an hour. There's plenty of moisture for those thunderstorms, 87% our humidity. And we told you the barometer already, so let's go on with a 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, we expect to see that frontal system slipping through our area. There's still a chance of rain, especially early in the day. By Tuesday, that front should be east of us. We should begin to see a clearing of skies. As a matter of fact, that could happen as early as tomorrow evening. On Wednesday, we'll see a frontal system to the north of us that will be slipping down in our direction. We'll see partly sunny skies on Wednesday. On Thursday, that front should be right on top of us. A chance of shower activity on Thursday. By Friday, we'll see a low-pressure area out in the Gulf of Mexico, possibly northwesterly winds and maybe some shower activity on the backside of that low. Saturday, things begin to look pretty good. As a matter of fact, next weekend looks good. Sunny skies on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we would again see sunny skies, possibly with light northerly winds, causing us to have a very nice day. Sunrise tomorrow morning in Houston will be at 6:47, set at 5:25 tomorrow afternoon. 1 week from today, the sunrise at 6:52 and set at 5:23. Our forecast for the next 3 days, cloudy tomorrow, an 80% chance of rain tonight, 50% tomorrow, partly sunny on Tuesday and Wednesday. That's the 7-day forecast. Jim and Debbie will be right back.
Starting to build a home library? Here's a great way to do it beautifully and inexpensively. The Masters Library Collection. 10 volumes at only $12.98 each, filled with the works of the world's great authors like Shakespeare, Melville, Twain, Steinbeck, Faulkner, and Poe. Each handsomely bound in leather and imprinted with gold leaf. The Masters Library. A great way to build a library while keeping your building costs down.
Great savings on Masters Library, $12.98 each at B. Dalton Bookseller.
You can call me Books.
I didn't want a car that looked like we were 45.
Listen to the heartbeat. We wanted a car that looked sharp. We didn't want to be ordinary.
It looks great in the driveway, and that's very important to me.
It just so happened that this car is priced much lower than I thought a car of this quality would be priced.
You know, it's the perfect combination of price and styling.
The heartbeat of America. Chevrolet Spectrum is a head turner.
That's today, Chevrolet. We're both attorneys, so we have to tell the truth.
Let's go back now to Carlos Aguilar in Central Texas, where tornadoes have touched down, killing at least 7 people and injuring several others and leaving still others homeless tonight. Carlos?
Jim, as you can see behind me, there's not much left of this house here. And also the citizens around here are having to do without power. The utility lines have been knocked down by the storm, heavy tree limbs, and of course all the other devastation that occurred here today. Most people have been taken in by friends and family. There is a shelter available to them. They have not shown up there. Most people have chosen to stay with friends and relatives, and some, as we showed you earlier, have built campfires out on their property just to keep an eye on things overnight. And luckily, as we said earlier, there were only 2 deaths here, and those people, one lady was from Sugar Land and the other one was from Bryan, mother and daughter. And tonight, most people are still having to spend an uneasy night because of the severe weather that persists. Jim?
Okay, Carlos, thanks very much for that report. And we'll have updated information in the morning on Eyewitness News at 7 a.m.
That's our report of news. Thanks very much for watching. Have a great week.
Good night, everybody.
At Montio's Mobile, you'll find an exceptional car at an exceptional price. And isn't that what buying a car is all about? Satisfaction?
Mossy Oldsmobile on the Katy Freeway.
Everything in life is timing, and for that special timeless gift, I.W. Marks is Houston's factory authorized agency for such fine timepieces as Piaget, Omega, Cartier, Concord, Corum, and Movado. All handcrafted in 14 or 18 karat gold or stainless steel and gold, many with diamonds. All watches carry I.W. Marks 5-year extended warranty on workmanship and material. For the time of your life, make my jeweler your jeweler, I.W. Marks Jewelers.
Fight the household stinkies with Spick and Span Pine, the smelly slime line. Use Spick and Span Pine on that smelly dirt, and all you'll smell is clean. The stinky stinkers. With Spick and Span Pine, all you'll smell is clean. With the concentrated cleaning power of the powder, plus pine oil for twice the strength of other pines. Belly floor glop. Fight them with Spick and Span Pine. All you'll smell is clean.
This is Channel 13 in Houston, KTRK-TV.
The preceding was a rebroadcast of tonight's 10 p.m. Eyewitness News. From ABC News, the Weekend Report. Here's Tom Gerald.
Good evening. In a heavy snowstorm at Denver Stapleton Airport, Continental Airlines Flight 713 was attempting to take off, but it didn't make it. 81 people aboard the flight to Boise, Idaho. At least 21 perished in the crash. Greg Dobbs has details from Denver.
According to an eyewitness on another plane nearby, the DC-9 tilted to the side moments after takeoff. The wings just catching the runway. The whole plane flipping over and crashing on its top side and breaking into 3 parts. The tail section stopping more than 100 yards from the wreck. Because of all that, some survivors and some corpses still were trapped inside hours after the crash. Paramedics blew hot air and ran intravenous tubes through small holes in the broken fuselage to keep survivors warm and to stabilize their conditions in this sub-freezing weather. But actually getting the last ones out was slow and delicate.
Frustrating. We have, right now, we have to lift up portions of the aircraft using those airbags to prop up the aircraft, and it's taking a long time to get those in and get those up. And then we need to get those two individuals out, and then we'll drain the fuel from the aircraft.
One of the last two known survivors inside was screaming as firefighters tried to get her out. The first official death toll was 18, but then it rose to 19, and officials qualified that by saying they weren't counting corpses still trapped and unseen beneath debris.
It's a devastation that I haven't seen since really Vietnam. It is terribly twisted. It's a miracle, in a layman's point of view, that anybody walked away from that, that anybody survived it, and thank God there wasn't a fire on board.
But at least 21 passengers did walk away from the crash, most with minor injuries and obviously with shock, but evidently thrown free when the aircraft broke apart. When it took off, the weather at Stapleton Airport was down to minimum, an eighth of a mile visibility, crosswinds on the runway. For safety's sake, Stapleton cut back from 4 active runways to just 1. The Boise-bound flight was lifting off from that one runway when it flipped over. The weather is suspected as the cause, but there's no official conclusion as of now. Greg Dobbs, ABC News, Denver.
The Delta Airlines jumbo jet was forced to make an emergency landing shortly after takeoff from Los Angeles en route to Hawaii. The big DC-10, capable of carrying nearly 300 people, was brought down safely after a bird was apparently sucked into an engine. Deadly tornadoes touched the broad sections of east central Texas today, killing 7 people and injuring at least 57. One cut a path of destruction a half-mile wide and 12 miles long, destroying homes and barns and uprooting trees. In Palestine, Texas, 2 churches, a school, and 150 business places were badly damaged by the twister.
Memo to Phil in D.C. You seem to think IBM's 386 PCs are an automatic buy. I don't. Not when we have a choice. I suggest you look at AT&T's 6386.
Introducing the AT&T 6386 workgroup system.
The issue here isn't just computers and software, but it's keeping our options open, now and down the road.
Steve, I'd like to introduce you to a new Swanson home-style entree, lasagna with meat sauce.
How do you do?
New Swanson's lasagna with meat sauce. This is Steve Simpson.
Have you met Swanson's home-style entrees?
When eating your Pepperidge Farm pizza, notice that the light, flaky croissant crust is baked in section. So easy to share. That is, if you have a mind to.
White House and congressional budget negotiators are playing beat the clock in their effort to find a way to reduce the federal deficit by $23 billion. They have to fashion that deficit reduction package by Friday. But as Kenneth Walker reports, there's still one major politically sensitive stumbling block.
When President Reagan abandoned his long-standing opposition to taxes last month in the wake of the stock market collapse, it seemed that his budget negotiations with Congress might produce a speedy and sweeping deal. But 3 weeks later, one issue seems to threaten it all.
I'm putting everything on the table with the exception of Social Security.
We ought to put everything back on the table, and give a real look at everything at one time.
On This Week with David Brinkley, Domenici joined other congressional leaders in suggesting that if the government is going to send a strong enough signal to calm stock and currency markets, Social Security and other entitlement programs will have to be curbed.
Then I think you've got to put together a serious package on entitlement that is multi-year. That's got to be about $5 billion roughly on entitlements, and they have to grow in the out years.
But Democrats and Republicans are strongly resisting any attack on the powerful Social Security constituency.
The members won't accept that. The president put that off the table.
It's just about nigh impossible politically.
Without Social Security cuts, some think a meaningful budget deal is impossible.
Until we get to the entitlement, we'll never get our budget under control. Ever, ever, ever.
Some Senate Republicans are trying to organize a bipartisan delegation to come here later this week to try to persuade the president to accept some caps on Social Security. Otherwise, it's not clear at all that a meaningful agreement can be reached by Friday's deadline. Kenneth Walker, ABC News at the White House.
Walter Mondale, whose 1984 presidential campaign was based in part on the need to raise taxes to cut the deficit, says he now feels vindicated by President Reagan's apparent about-face on the tax issue. Mondale says he's glad political accountability for the economy is now being directed at Mr. Reagan while he's still in office. Said Walter Mondale to Newsweek magazine, Reaganomics was fraud or religion, but it wasn't economics.
What do you know about cranberries? What do you know about cran apples? Apples is just never like this. Good for you, tastes so good for you. Cran apple.
The unique cranberry has essential things your body needs. So does Cran Apple, the good-for-you cranberry apple drink.
Never taste the fresh and flavor. Cranberry drink.
It's good for you, America, from Ocean Spray.
Well, the rules governing the definition of a fresh croissant are quite liberal. Sara Lee would like to make its definition perfectly clear. Nobody doesn't like Sara Lee.
With the Cuisinart Basic, I can make pizza, cookies, tacos, and save money. With a big food processor with a small pipe. A chopped, sliced, shredded pipe. Cuisinart Basic needs a lot of dough for a little dough. And I love dough.
Monday, children trapped in hospitals because insurance companies won't pay for expensive medical care in their homes. Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
3 weeks from tomorrow, President Reagan and Soviet leader Gorbachev are scheduled to hold their third summit meeting here in Washington. They're expected to sign an arms treaty to scrap all medium and short-range nuclear missiles, but there's still a number of areas in which the two superpowers are far from agreement. And that's why America's top arms negotiator and his Soviet counterpart went to Geneva today. The story from Rick Endicott.
This evening, the chief U.S. arms negotiator, Ambassador Max Kampelman, arrived at the Soviet mission to begin 3 days of meetings with his Soviet counterpart, Ambassador Yuli Vorontsov.
I think we're both determined to complete our work before the summit. Otherwise, we're going to be fired.
Still, U.S. officials say about 25 issues need to be settled at the negotiating table before the treaty is completed. These include the exchange of information about how many missiles each side has and where they are located, the timetable and method for their destruction, and most importantly, verification measures to ensure that neither side cheats on the accord.
We'll insist on having the best verification program we can get.
But arms control is not the only subject on the agenda here in Geneva over the next 3 days. On Tuesday, Undersecretary of State Michael Armakoff will meet with Soviet officials to discuss another summit item, disagreements between the superpowers on regional conflicts like Afghanistan and Central America. But the cornerstone of the December 7th Reagan-Gorbachev summit will be the signing of the medium-range missile agreement. And with just 3 weeks left to resolve their remaining differences over the accord, both sides are moving into high gear to meet that deadline. Rick Endicott, ABC News, Geneva.
There were tears and tributes in southwest England today as the U.S. and Britain finally honored the dead from one of World War II's least known and bloodiest military disasters. It was called Operation Tiger, and it was carried out at Clapton Sands in England's Devon coast in April 1944. 30,000 American troops were engaged in training exercises for the D-Day invasion. That was to take place 2 months later. Because of bad planning and bad luck, the virtually defenseless American troop ships were spotted and attacked by German torpedo boats. 749 U.S. servicemen were killed. The military kept quiet about the incident, and those men were virtually forgotten by history until today.
John, I'd like to introduce you to a new Swanson home-style entree. John, this is Swanson's new lasagna. Lasagna? John. Swanson's lasagna, John, adds zest and gusto to any mealtime occasion. What do you do, John?
Lasagna with meat sauce. Seafood Creole. Deluxe chicken pie. Macaroni and cheese. Have you met Swanson's home-style recipe entree?
He's got a sore throat. and a cough. Introducing Children's Night. Cools his throat, souring his pain with medicine. Pleasantly, so he can have a nice day.
My mother-in-law recommended Preparation H for my hemorrhoidal symptoms. Why should I listen to my mother-in-law? She's also a doctor.
In a national survey, 2 out of 3 doctors named Preparation H among the hemorrhoid remedies they recommended to their patients.
Doctors know best.
Ron Reagan's visit to the Soviet Union all this week on Good Morning America.
Finally tonight, the main political theater here in Washington for much of the summer was the Iran-Contra hearing. This Tuesday, the final report on the Iran arms scandal will be issued by Congress. As Jackie Judd reports, the major conclusions are endorsed by leaders of both political parties.
Both reports from the select committees conclude that President Reagan is ultimately responsible for the Iran-Contra affair.
The buck stops with the president. He's the one who established the policy of selling weapons to Iran.
But the majority summary apparently goes well beyond that. The Miami Herald quote sources as saying the report will fault President Reagan for fostering an attitude of virtual disregard toward law and traditional government procedures.
The highlight of it is the president's responsibility for the events that transpired.
The report doesn't judge whether individuals broke laws, but committee member Congressman Dante Patel says it comes close.
The law was either ignored or violated.
Republican Congressman William Bloomfield has prepared a draft statement charging that a range of potential improprieties and illegalities may have been committed by former National Security Advisors Poindexter and McFarlane, Oliver North, and the late CIA Director Casey. The key figures don't escape criticism in the minority report either.
The minority report is pretty tough on Poindexter. Said that he misserved the president, that he misled the Congress. It says that Bud McFarlane, in essence, lied to the Congress of the United States.
The Attorney General, Edwin Meese, is credited in the minority summary for uncovering the diversion of funds to the Contras. But the majority, according to a source, will fault Meese for the quality of his preliminary investigation. A Republican committee member says the political impact of these reports will quickly evaporate, but no doubt they will rub salt into the wound of an already beleaguered administration. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Now recapping tonight's top story, at least 25 people were killed in the crash of a Continental Airlines jetliner at Denver's Stapleton Airport. Flight 1713 was attempting to take off in a snowstorm when it went out of control, flipped over, and broke in two. 81 people were aboard, traveling to Boise, Idaho. That's our report for tonight. Jed Duval and Edie Magnus will have tomorrow's first news on World News This Morning, followed by Good Morning America. I'm Tom Jarrell for ABC News. Good night.
From Washington, this has been the Weekend Report. The Weekend Report is a presentation of ABC News.
Tuesday.
Promise not to tell anyone.
What? You're an animal. What are you doing? Taking you to prison. The moonlighting's over. It's a new life for David Tuesday. Better be a dream episode.
Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. You better chase all your cares away. Shout hallelujah, come on, get happy.
Get happy. The week of November 16th of the 3 o'clock $1 million movie with Mel Brooks and Lindsay Saddle. That's what the new sheriff of Rock Creek. I'd be delighted. Wow. Who owns the key? Neil Simon's Odd Couple with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau. The riotous comedy Never Too Late with Connie Stevens and Paul Ford. Burt Reynolds and Sally Field in Hooper. And then it's Richard Pryor and Cicely Tyson in the very funny Busted Loose. Come on, get happy. The week of November 16th on the 3 o'clock $1 million movie here on 13.
It takes so little, it means so much.
Welcome to Business World. I'm Sander Van Oker, and here's what's on this week's agenda. The trade figures. Numbers so important that goods shipped in and out send the stock market up and down. But the numbers that aren't counted may be the figures that really count. Behind the trade figures, quality. American companies hard at work to improve the products labeled Made in the USA. From Dallas, this week's Business World guest, House Budget Chairman William Gray. Will a compromise on the budget deficit save the economy? And top football coaches tackle corporate problems. How well can they score in the boardroom?
From ABC News, this is Business World with Sander Van Oker, Stephen Orr, Dan Court, and Gordon Williams. Now from New York, here's Sander Van Oker.
The trade figures. Each month, the financial community holds its breath as it waits to see if the trade deficit is shrinking, if the dollar's long slide has helped to boost exports and helped to curb imports. On the day last month when disappointing trade figures were announced, the stock market dropped 95 points. But when figures this past week showed $1.5 billion improvement, the market took the cue and the Dow went up more than 60 points. But the widely watched trade numbers are only part of the overall picture, the merchandise trade, and that makes them a controversial barometer.
This year, 3.3 million tons of merchandise will go through the Sealand Terminal at Port Elizabeth, New Jersey. The entire port handles 52 million tons of imports a year. And U.S. Customs is in charge of counting them all up, exports as well.
If you consider a tidal wave, that would be a good analogy to the volumes of cargo that comes through.
U.S. Customs inspectors all across the country record the imports and exports that are part of our trade deficit.
0434.
As recent converts to the electronics age, the inspectors then enter the numbers into a computer, where the contents and quantity of the merchandise is revealed. Traditionally, countries have put emphasis on accurate import numbers because they can be subject to tariff and import duties.
We're in the process now of really refining our selectivity and continuing to enhance the technology, computer technology that we have.
The critics say no amount of refining can help because the numbers are basically flawed.
Well, of all the statistics that come out every month from the government, I would say right at the bottom in terms of reliability and usefulness is probably the monthly trade figures.
One reason for this unhappiness is that many believe that a lot is left out of the trade deficit export numbers. Not counting the profits American companies make overseas, banking services and insurance premiums paid overseas, and foreigners flying on American carriers. But according to the U.S. government Bureau of Economic Analysis, these non-merchandise trade exports add up to an annual total of $373 billion. Compare that to this year's projected trade deficit.